How fast can you type? Well, apparently, the average typing speed is around 41 words per minute, and today, I'll show you my journey of going from 33 words per minute to the triple digits. But first of all, why did I even start this challenge? Well, one day, I was scrolling on YouTube and I stumbled upon this video by Insider Tech where they spoke about how you can use something called touch typing to increase your typing speed. But what even is touch typing? Well, the definition of it is to type without having to look at the keys of a typewriter or a keyboard. But the actual practice adds another layer, which is the addition of assigning specific keys to each finger. To understand what this means, let's take a look at this diagram. On the left side, your pinky, ring, middle, and index fingers go on the A, S, D, and F keys respectively. On the right, they sit on the semicolon, L, K, and J keys respectively. As you can see by the color representation, each finger has a specific layout of keys that it's responsible to press. So, now that we know what touch typing is, let's get into the challenge. For 30 days straight, I will have to do 10 minutes of typing with punctuation marks, 30 minutes of typing without punctuation marks, and 5 sets of 2 minutes with punctuation marks with 2-minute intervals in between. But before the challenge could be set in place, we first needed to get a baseline of what my speed was like before switching to touch typing. So, for 7 days straight, I decided to track my typing speed with my previous typing method, which was, well, just type, no structure whatsoever. And I have to say, I was rather surprised with the results. On the first week, I managed to average out 73 words per minute with around 92% accuracy in the 10-minute writing test. This was a much higher baseline than I expected, but now that we have our control group out of the way, it was time to start the actual challenge. The first week, as expected, was the hardest one in the bunch. I had to completely rewire my brain to not fall back on my old typing habits and learn the new touch typing techniques. Now, in order to learn said techniques, I used the same site as the one that I did my test on, called Typing Test. They have a really extensive lab there for practice. There I could practice the basics of the finger placements, repetition of words that are supposed to be difficult, and a lot of customized courses for specific stuff. Every day I would try to do at least 3 minutes of warm-up using this lab before going into my actual tests. Speaking of the test, they went awful. As you could expect, I was having a really hard time, whether it was remembering which finger is assigned to which key, how to flow between key presses, or having any type of speed without giving up my accuracy. This was really demoralizing. Luckily though, I didn't let it discourage me, so after the first week, I sat down and asked myself, what was my main takeaway from this week? And if I'm honest, it was that I had to stay concentrated. Many times did I slip out of touch typing because I would lose focus and just fall back on my old habits. But I knew that the first week is never an indication of how things will turn around, and boy, was I right. So, after the first week, here are the stats of every single test. Week 2 was a struggle. I felt like my brain was in a constant tug-of-war between free and touch typing, and I must admit it was my most frustrating week out of this entire challenge. I'd start a typing test, managed to get about 15 words in, and then suddenly lose focus and hit the reset button due to frustration. I pressed F5 in these days more than I pressed spacebar. Throughout the week it got easier and easier though. I must say, with each consecutive day, I actually felt like I can control my mind just a little bit better. It took me less and less time to get into the zone, and I was better at recovering from mistakes when my brain did something that made me slip out of it. Also, this week was very interesting because it only took me 2 weeks to almost completely overlap my old typing speed. This really showed me how effective touch typing is compared to free typing. So, at the end of this week, I sat down and asked myself what was my main takeaway now. And without a doubt, it's that I had to stay consistent. It was clear to me that this is going to be a successful experiment as long as I keep on doing it. So, after the second week, here are the stats of each one of my tests. I'm going to talk about the last 2 weeks together as they were very similar both in their progress and the conclusions drawn from them. In these weeks, all I really had to do was just continue to stay consistent, but since I wanted to speed up my improvement, I also decided to train a lot more. Also, in these weeks, I started to implement games that involve typing speed, like this game where you have to spell out the word to destroy the asteroids, or Nitro Speed, where you basically race with your words per minute speed. These games kept the challenge fresh, which is very necessary when you think about the fact that you're just sitting there writing the same words over and over again for hours. Finishing off this 30-day challenge was definitely a huge accomplishment for me. I saw myself going from something that's completely new for me to improving it massively just because of the work that I put in. The takeaway from weeks 3 and 4 is that the amount of work you put in has a direct effect on your accomplishments, and I managed to learn that firsthand. After the 3rd week, here are the stats of each one of my tests. Now for the week you've all been waiting for, here are the stats of week 4. I would also like to note that this is now 3 months after I finished this challenge, and I can now consistently get over 120 words per minute. If you're still here, please do consider subscribing. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs before the end of the year, and that would really help out a lot. But that's all for me. Stay natty. Peace out.